Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fri-Date with the wife. In these episodes, my wife and I offer an entrepreneurial couple's perspective on living a more fulfilling and meaningful life. We share our little humble opinions and hopefully make you laugh as we navigate the ups and downs of being entrepreneurs and parents. And speaking of fulfillment, if you want to hire me as your coach, head over to robshowcoach.com, fill out an application, and we'll jump on a call to see if we are a good fit to help you create and design your dream life and business. That's robshowcoach.com. Before we get into today's Fri-Date episode, our next Work Hard, Play Hard mastermind event will be in Dubai and Abu Dhabi for the F1 race on November 16th to the 19th. These trips are designed to get you out of your day-to-day, around some amazing entrepreneurs, and provide bucket list experiences that will have you coming home re-energized to grow your business and bring your life to a whole new level. Head over to workhardplayhardexperience.com and fill out an application. Okay, let's jump into today's episode. Kimberly, best parent in the universe. How are you today?
Well, that is quite an award. That will my award be delivered soon?
You know who's coming? Ed McMahon is coming back from the dead. And
did I win Publishers Clearinghouse?
No. Well, what he's doing is he's coming back again, but he's not bringing like the big giant
check.
Yeah, he's doing it. He's got a team of people. It's like Super Nanny and a bunch of other people.
No one knows who Ed McMahon is. Like, you just dated yourself 10x.
Really?
I think so.
Oh my God.
I mean, I know who he is.
He was on Johnny Carson. How long's Johnny Carson been off? That's not why we are here today. We are here today to talk about parenting. So before we get into parenting, let me say this. I don't know if this is a statistical fact or it just happens to be our world, but it seems that everyone we know now is pregnant. And I'm hoping that we catch none of that. But the world right now seems to be pregnant. I don't know if we're having COVID babies. I don't know what's going on, but there's a big bang that is happening right now.
It already happened.
It already happened. And so we're getting lots of questions on parenting because we're in this stage now with Sophia where she's 7.5 years old now. And so she is pretty actively and has been traveling around the world with us. And so, it used to be little cute pictures of Sophia in, a crib on social media, but now it's, watching her ride a camel in Dubai. You know what I mean? So things are progressing, and what that is generating is a lot of questions, and people have these questions, it's over, right? I mean,
well, a lot of what we get is the opposite. It's, you guys are my role model for how to raise a kid because you're proving that life isn't over. You can still travel and all of that. So at least that's what I'm getting. Most of the reach out that I get is, how do you guys do it? I want to do that too. And so I thought today we'd do a podcast on that.
Yeah,
right?
I think it would be good.
So let me say this. The first thing is the best parenting advice that we've ever received. And as you parents and new parents know, people give you all of their unsolicited advice. And here's ours to add to your pile. Ours came from our pediatrician. And she said to fit the child into our life and not the other way around. Now, what does that mean? That means that often parents shift their entire life, their schedule, their dreams, their everything to quote unquote fit to the kid's schedule. So we had friends that had babies and the kid napped at a very specific time, needed blackout curtains, special socks, a stuffy, and a sound machine that plays, rain, but only at this decibel. Like
Amazon rainforest only. If it was rain from the plains of Spain,
it didn't work.
It didn't work.
And so they created this life that then they, as parents, had to fit into this child's life and schedule. And so what our pediatrician advised was the exact opposite. Fit the kid into your schedule. Whatever you do, continue to do it and bring the kid along, and they will thrive, they will grow, and they're very adaptable, these little things called children. And so that's what we did. So Sophia's first plane ride was at 3 months old. And we have never stopped traveling with her, going out to restaurants with her. We have conversations with her. And often when people meet Sophia, they will share how she's really interesting because she can talk to kids and she can talk to adults and communicate. She's a very good communicator. And I think it's because we've put her in these environments to do just that. She's also incredibly independent. She can roll her own luggage now, and she has for quite a while. And if she wants something at a restaurant, she'll, raise her hand and interject, could I have some more water, please, or whatever it is. And she has, I think, developed this because we've put her into our life as suggested and not the other way around. So I think that would be my number one advice for people because, kids travel and people have this weird misnomer that kids don't travel or that travel is over. Look, for the first 2 years you have a kid, you can put your baby on your lap on a plane and you can travel. Take full advantage of that fact. And when you fly international, they'll bring you a bassinet often to put the baby in that kind of clips to the wall. You can travel with your kid, and I highly, highly recommend it. Travel will only better them. And the other thing that I get, Rob, I don't know if anyone talks to you about parenting.
Never.
But, okay.
Actually, never. It's true. I've not had one person one time reach out to me and ask me a parenting question. Yeah, I'm actually here just to add color to the commentary.
Oh my God,
because
this is so funny.
I actually don't have, the kid in the next room, that one's mine, right?
Yes, it is, honey.
All right. I'm your father. Nice to meet you.
No, but I think that the other thing that I hear is, or I'll hear that people will say, when we travel with Sophia, not so much now that she's 7, but earlier in her life, people would say, well, I don't even know why you go to these places. She's not going to remember it. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. She's not going to remember seeing the Eiffel Tower probably at 2 years old, but it's going to imprint on who she is as a person. And she is going to be very comfortable traveling and around other cultures. It's kind of like saying, well, why do you even do anything with your kid at 2? They're not going to remember it. Why do you even have a birthday party? Why do you even do a family vacation? They're not going to remember it. No, they're not. But it's going to imprint on who they are, and it's going to become a part of their character.
I remember when I was talking to my friend Darren about this, and I said, we were somewhere, and I said, do you think she's going to remember this? We were, I don't know, in Greece or something, let's say. And he said,
I think we're in South Africa.
Yeah. And I said, do you think she's going to remember it? He goes, no, I don't think she will exactly, but she's going to remember how she feels around this.
Yeah.
And that can be taken in 1,000 different ways, and I think everybody has a different take on it. But I guarantee you that all of those things, whether she's in South Africa or she's in Greece or Dubai, and we're talking about travel, but it's also the same for interacting in restaurants or even there are times where I remember. Before we had her, we'd go to, places like Mykonos, and it's 1:00 in the morning, and there are, people from Athens that have their baby strollers outside. The kids have headphones on, and the kids sleeping, and they're, outside in the town listening to house music, having champagne and dancing with strollers. That is not unusual to happen. And when you create these random rules, like you opened with your friend that had, a million, she had to have, certain sound machine sounds on to go to sleep. And then you take, sort of like this European example I'm giving you, the kids are raised differently. They're raised around lots of different things that become inculcated into their life. And they're just like, yeah, I mean, if I'm tired, I close my eyes and I go to sleep, as opposed to, If I'm tired, I need an eye mask. I need earplugs. I need a sound machine.
Oh my God, you just literally described yourself.
Right. So I understand that, my parents were not out until 2:00 in the morning with me and Mykonos, and there's all kinds of different things. I don't know how much color I can add here as a parent because.
Well, you can provide so much observation.
But there is something that I want to say, and that is there are certain hacks that are helpful to use as a parent. So I'm not sure if we talked about it on the podcast or not. Maybe we have, but it's worth repeating if you haven't heard it before. When your kid comes home from school and you want to engage with your kid, a bad question to ask them is, how did school go today? Every parent who's had a child said, how was school? And the answer is universally the same. It is a grunt, or maybe an unrecognizable word like fine, that you could barely hear under the grunt. And then they just run and they get their iPad, or they get, whatever it is that they're going to do. And my source of information is TikTok. So I follow this guy on TikTok, and he gave some really great advice that I'm going to share with you. And everybody that has done this has said, wow, it really works. And that is to ask a series of questions that requires their brain to be engaged in a different way. So I'll give you 3 examples. Which kid is the fastest in your class? And they have to go, and they think about that. Which boy picks his nose and eats it in school? And they laugh a little bit, and then they'll go, oh, it's Charlie. 3, which kid always falls asleep on the bus on the way home? So we began doing these questions one night, and at first there was this aversion because she was raising an eyebrow and didn't understand where the questions were, but she still was interested in answering them.
Because they were weird enough that it was playful.
They were weird enough.
And also you asked questions about her teachers and all kinds of stuff.
Well, it's limitless. Sometimes Kim has to help me because, you do this 7 nights a week, 30 questions a week. You've kind of covered every nose-picking kid story that you can come up with. And then when I get through the 5 questions, she counts them. And she says, okay, let's do some more. And so we then said, okay, well, after we do these questions, this will be our time to connect as a family. And then after we do this, then we'll switch gears and mommy and I will have our conversation, which we know is boring for you. So go ahead and use your iPad. That one little hack has saved our life at dinner.
It's more than it saved our life. What it did was it created conversation in our family. Like the first few times you did it, she didn't want the iPad. She didn't want it to end. She just kept asking for more and more and more questions. And finally, we were like, please take the iPad, because we're running out of things to ask her. It created conversation, and it created memories, and it more than anything, it triggered her to tell us other stories that were happening in class and happening in her school with other kids that are unprovoked. And now he's moved on to observation. Like, let's say we're in a restaurant. He'll say, I want you to look at this wall of pictures. Take a really good look and look at everything really closely. And then I'm going to ask you some questions about it. And he'll say, what color is the picture with 3 horses, or some random thing like that. And she loves it. It's like this fun observation game that is so good on so many levels. But again, it's another example of fitting the kid into your life, right? Bring him to the restaurant, and instead of just handing her an iPad out of the gate, being able to really have some great conversation with her. And it's also teaching her how to ask questions, how to be observant in her school, in her home life, in what she thinks. And that kind of family bonding, I think, is so needed and important. And you, Rob, you solved one of the most annoying parts of my day, which is, how is school? And you completely handled and solved it.
Well, I think there's 2 areas that need to be discussed here, because I'm gonna represent the men here now. There is, we'll call it like family time and we'll call it couple time. And there's a difference between the two. So we've been talking about family time and raising children. And one of the things with family time is that when you have a close family as we do, there's a lot of, and this is a beautiful problem. In no way am I saying this is a bad problem. There's a lot of excitement around life. And there's a lot of excitement around what's going on in your life and what you're interested in. And you want to share it with each other. And so when Kim and I are at the dinner table, I want to share 1,000 things that are going on about my day. And the same with Kim. But the same with Sophia. Sophia has been working on Roblox, or she's been playing with a kid, or she has a story about what one of her friends at school told her, or she has a joke. We have to work on her delivery, but she has a
her comedic timing is hysterical. It's her joke telling that is.
Yeah, we're going to have to work on how to put that together, because sometimes it's a little tough to follow. But she has it. So now we have these three competing things. And as maddening as it could be to literally not be able to say 3 words in a row, like cannot get, Kim, your pants are on fire right now, I just need to tell you, when we're all talking at the same time. But the good news is that we've all seen the reverse. And the reverse is the family that sits at dinner and you can hear the clanking of the forks, with somebody putting it into their, pork chops and peas, and nobody's saying anything. And then the dad is like looking over going, so how was your day at school, son? Fine. And how was your day, mommy? Fine. We have the exact opposite. It's
like The View. No one stops
talking. Nobody stops talking all the time on top of each other. So I tell you that to say that the other side of that is, yes, you want to have that family that is so excited to talk to each other that it's frustrating, but I don't look at it as a negative at all. Actually, I look at it as a great problem that we're all so excited that we all want to share everything with each other, because I've been in relationships where it's maddeningly quiet because everybody's like, can I get up from the table now? None of us are that way.
Yeah.
We are all excited to be with each other. So it's a good problem. But the other side of that is that we are in a romantic couple relationship. So as a family, you have to have, I think, what allows that time to work is the other time where you don't have that, everybody competing at the same time. And so Kim and I have been doing an experiment with date days together, and it doesn't even have to be a day. It could be 3 or 4 hours. So the yin and the yang, I think, of raising a well-adjusted child in the ways that we are discussing is born out of and stems from a well-adjusted relationship that the two of you have. In the same way that if you want to be in great shape, your relationship actually plays a role in it. Because if you're not happy in your relationship and you're feeling like shit, you're not exactly going to be the type of guy that wants to go to the gym and really, really work out well. Or if that example doesn't make sense, your business is going to be affected because you're not going to be going into business on all cylinders because your relationship is doing well. So these things are not islands where they're separated from each other. They coexist together. So to have a successful child, you have to have successful family time. And to have successful family time, you have to have a successful relationship. So I think that they are directly intertwined.
I do too. I think happy kid, happy wife, happy life, right? So what did we talk about today? We talked about if you're new to parenting, possibly taking on the advice that we used, which was to fit the child into your life and not the other way around. We talked about how you can still travel with kids. It is still possible. And by the way, there's kids everywhere. Families travel, and it's really good for them. And we talked about how to overcome the how is school question and silent, annoying dinner that plagues many, many families. One other thing that I want to kind of toss out there is, having kids, how do you teach kids to become great connectors? Because I think every parent has a fear that their kid will be the kid that doesn't have any friends, right? Because that's devastating and to a kid. And so with Sophia, watching her over the years make friends has been at times incredibly painful and hard, but you have to know as a parent where are the moments that you intervene and where are the moments that you step back and you let them do it. And Rob, you're really good at this. I actually remember with Demi, you were horrible at this. And Demi was way more shy than Sophia. And when she went to camp for the first time, you remember you walked over to a little girl and you're like, "Hi, what's your name?" And you're like, "Okay, Paris, this is Demi. And you guys are going to be friends." With Sophia, we've sat back and just watched to see what happens. And Sophia, initially, she'd be like a shark. If there was kids playing soccer, she would get near them and then closer, but looking the other direction until she was basically in the middle of their soccer game and the ball happened to hit her foot and then she was just in the game. That was initially. Now she just walks over to kids and goes, "Hi, my name is Sophia and let's be friends." And the kid really doesn't have an option, let's be honest. And they begin to play. And we've watched her do this over and over and over again. And now I'm watching her kind of butterfly into this beautiful little girl who not just goes and makes friends, but she likes the little ones. She likes like a 4 or a 5-year-old, and she wants to take them on as like a sibling. And while we were in Dubai, she went over to this little girl whose mother was with her, 4 years old, in the pool. "Hi, my name is Sophia. What's your name? You want to be friends? Let's play. Oh, you can't swim? Let me show you how to kick your legs on the side of the pool. Have you ever tried monkeying around the pool, holding on to the ledge?" Like, she just was all in on not just playing with kids her age, but connecting and really, I feel like in some ways, providing value with kids that make them want to play with her.
Yes, but let's also, because I'm sure there are people listening right now that are saying my daughter would never do that or my son would never do that. Understand that it's not that she has this nature, which she does, but it's not that, there's this nature that this nature just spontaneously appeared at the moment. This is years of exposure. This is years of being on a beach in Greece and not having any kids and then seeing one kid, but the kid doesn't speak English and having to figure out a skill set on how to communicate with this. I spoke to, on one of the podcasts I did with Cindy Eckert. If you don't follow her, Eckert. She's an incredible businesswoman, but one of the things that she mentioned to me is she went to school in Rome, and she was saying, "Oh, this is going to be," because I said to her, I said, it's difficult because there's like the Italian kids here that have been here for years, and then there's there's these other kids, and there's all these cliques that she's coming into, and she said one of the most powerful skill sets that I learned was having to figure out how to, for lack of a better word, infiltrate a group of people that didn't speak the same language, that were all friends before, that had all these inside jokes. And that skill set transferred for me as an adult, where I was able to communicate with people and establish rapport very, very quickly. When you're raising a child, you can see each year that the skill sets and the exposure, more specifically the exposure that you put them in and the environments that you put them in and the neighborhoods that you put them in and the conversations that you put them in, they blossom in ways that you can't quite predict or know how they're going to do. So a couple of years ago, she may have said something like, they don't speak English. Nobody here speaks English. They don't understand what I'm saying. But now 2 years later, this year I can see her scanning the kid, looking up and down, trying to assess through nonverbal and then verbal answers and cues. Oh, okay. This is a foreign one. Where are you from? Russia. Okay, you speak English. Good. But if they didn't speak English, she would do her version of Dances with Wolves, and she would communicate with the kid in a way because she's been exposed to it and she's learned how to do it.
And I think that's what, you have a good point where people are like, yeah, but my kid is 9 and they don't do that. Well, this is your opportunity to start, because it's going to be way easier for kids to begin to learn to connect and communicate now than it will be as an adult. Sophia has come back from trying to make a friend, and she'll shrug her shoulders and she'll be like, yeah, they didn't really understand what I was saying. Okay, next. And she just moves on to the next one. But as a parent, it's painful to see her nudged away or ignored or whatever. That is painful, but it's a good lesson that you keep going. And the end result, she's literally been doing this since she could barely talk, and so the end result of that is now we have a kid that walks around and says, hi, my name is Sophia. We're going to play now. And she makes it happen, and she's a good connector. So the lesson for you here is, if that's not your kid, start looking at some situations where you can nudge them gently into becoming a better connector and communicator and, a better friend.
All right. I'll leave you with this. So this is going to come across as a humble brag, and I don't mean it to be a humble brag, but as we end this podcast today, Kim is going to go off with Sophia, and they're going to be putting together some bags to help the people out in the Ukraine. And those sorts of efforts make a difference. So no matter where you are in the world, when you are, you could be in a suburb in Long Island and you're trying to protect, your child from the evils that are going on in this world, and there's certainly plenty of them. There's also some other things that you can do to expose them to what the world really can be like, and how they can make a little contribution in some way that isn't not going to certainly end this horrible situation that's happening, but allow them to feel like they're contributing in a way that's going to be meaningful. And you never know when you plant those seeds how they feel about what they're doing and how they feel about it, how it's going to impact decisions that they make later in their life. That's it, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. All right. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode and you know someone that needs some help in either stepping up their work hard game or their play hard game, it would mean the world to me if you shared this podcast with them to help me get this movement out there. So if you like what you heard, head on over to iTunes, take 30 seconds, and leave me a 5-star review, and I will be forever grateful. So until the next episode, excuses are over. It's time to live.